In the bustling alien market of Zorblax, where creatures of all shapes and sizes bartered goods that defied human imagination, Bob stood frozen, staring at a six-eyed feline creature levitating a fishbowl with its mind. "That's your first student," said the Zorblaxian councilor, pointing to the cat. "She's been banned from 9 planets for her mischief. Good luck, Earthling." Bob's first step onto the Zorblaxian marketplace felt like stepping into a circus that had exploded. Colors clashed, and creatures of improbable anatomy haggled over goods that seemed to defy the basic laws of physics. He dodged a floating orb that zipped past his ear, emitting a series of clicks that sounded suspiciously like laughter. "Mr. Bob Smith, the human trainer?" a voice inquired, pulling him from his daze. Bob turned to face a Zorblaxian councilor, her skin a shimmering blue and eyes that twinkled with a mix of curiosity and desperation. "That's me," he replied, extending a hand which the councilor stared at, befuddled. "Ah, a greeting," she exclaimed, mimicking the gesture. "I am Councilor Zara. Welcome to our world. Your reputation for taming Earth's wildest beasts precedes you." Bob chuckled. "Just dogs and cats mostly. Never tamed a beast with more than 4 legs though." Zara led him through the market, weaving between stalls that sold squirming delicacies and gadgets that buzzed and whirred. They stopped before a pen where a creature that resembled a cross between an octopus and a parrot clung to the bars, eyeing Bob with a discerning gaze. "This is Fluffles," Zara said. "She's spirited." Fluffles emitted a sound like a trumpet, and a series of objects levitated around her keys, a water bottle, and what looked like a small meteorite. Bob nodded, unfazed. Spirited is good. Makes for a fun challenge. He entered the pen, and the objects dropped abruptly as Fluffles focused on him. Bob knelt, meeting her gaze at eye level. "All right, Fluffles. Let's start with the basics. Sit." The creature cocked her head, and then, to the amazement of the onlooking Zorblaxians, she sat. Bob continued with a few more commands, each followed by Fluffles with unnerving precision. As the day progressed, Bob worked with a menagerie of Zorblax's finest pets. There was a snarling beast that could phase through walls, a furry blob that changed colors based on mood, and a serpentine critter that hummed in harmony with the planet's magnetic field. Each pet, under Bob's patient guidance, transformed from chaotic to compliant, their owners watching with a mix of awe and something that looked like concern. By sunset, the marketplace had transformed. The cacophony of unruly pets had been replaced by an orderly choir of creatures sitting, staying, and rolling over in perfect unison. Bob wiped the sweat from his brow, a sense of accomplishment washing over him. But as he watched the Zorblaxians collect their now docile companions, he noticed the spark of mischief that once danced in their eyes had dimmed. "Remarkable work, Mr. Smith," Zara said, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "But I wonder, have we lost something in the process?" Bob followed her gaze, pondering her words. The pets were obedient, yes, but at what cost? That night, as the stars of Andromeda twinkled above, Bob lay in his quarters, a plan forming in his mind. Obedience was good, but personality was better. Tomorrow, he decided, he would teach them the most important command of all. The dawn on Zorblax was a symphony of hues that no human eye had ever beheld. Bob awoke to a sky painted in colors that had no names, a reminder that he was light years from home. He sipped a steaming mug of what passed for coffee here, its flavor a peculiar blend of bitter and sweet. Much like his current predicament, the marketplace was eerily quiet as he made his way to the day's training session. The pets sat in perfect rows, their eyes following him with an unsettling focus. Gone were the days of playful chaos. In their place reigned an unnatural order. "Good morning, Mr. Smith," greeted Zara, her voice lacking its usual vibrancy. "The council has expressed concerns." Bob nodded, understanding the unspoken words. They think the pets are too compliant? Exactly, Zara confirmed. They obey, but there's no joy in them. They're like machines. As he walked among the pets, Bob felt their eyes on him, waiting for commands. He tested them, issuing orders which they followed without hesitation. Sit, stay, roll over. Each action was precise, devoid of personality. A small, tentacled creature named Squiggles caught his attention. Once the life of the party, Squiggles now sat motionless, his vibrant colors dimmed to a dull gray. "This isn't right," Bob muttered. He missed the creature's mischievous antics, the way it would playfully squirt ink at passers-by. He spent the morning trying to reignite the spark in the pet's eyes, but the more he tried, the more robotic they became. The Zorblaxians watched, their faces etched with concern. At lunch, Bob sat alone, his meal untouched. He pondered the situation, his mind racing. Training was his life, but had he stripped these creatures of their essence? "May I join you?" Zara asked, her presence pulling him from his thoughts. "Of course," Bob replied, gesturing to the seat beside him. They ate in silence until Zara spoke up. "We wanted order, but we didn't realize the cost. Can you bring them back? The pets we loved." Bob looked at her, determination in his eyes. "I can, and I will. But it's going to take something unconventional." The afternoon session was different. Bob gathered the Zorblaxians and their pets, his expression serious. The new day on Zorblax greeted Bob with a cacophony of revived animal antics. The marketplace, once a tableau of disciplined stillness, now thrummed with vibrant life. Pets scampered about, their owners' laughter mingling with the symphony of barks, chirps, and otherworldly calls. Bob stood amidst the joyful chaos, a contented smile on his face. He had struck the delicate balance between obedience and freedom, and the result was a sight to behold. Pets performed tricks at their leisure, interspersed with bouts of playful frolicking that showcased their unique personalities. "Mr. Smith," Zara called out, her voice carrying over the din. "The council wishes to speak with you." Bob followed her to the council chambers, a grand dome where holographic displays danced in the air, depicting scenes of Zorblaxian life. The councilors, an assembly of various species, awaited him with an air of solemnity. "Councilor Zara tells us you've resolved the issue," the head councilor began, his tone measured. Bob nodded. "I reminded them that it's okay to be themselves. They needed permission to let loose." A murmur of approval rippled through the chamber. "And what of the training?" another councilor inquired. "Will they still obey?" "With balance," Bob assured. "They'll follow commands when necessary, but they won't lose themselves in the process." The councilors exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. Finally, the head councilor spoke. "We are in your debt, Mr. Smith. You've brought harmony to our world." As Bob exited the chambers, he couldn't help but feel a twinge of pride. He had come to this alien world as a mere pet trainer, but he would leave as something more, a teacher of life's greatest lesson, the value of individuality. The rest of the day was a celebration of that lesson. Bob watched as a furry creature with wings performed a loop-the-loop in the air, a feat it had never attempted in the days of strict obedience. A tentacled pet painted abstract patterns on a canvas, its owner beaming with pride. Evening approached, and Bob knew his time on Zorblax was drawing to a close. He gathered the pets for one final session, not to train, but to simply enjoy their company. "All right, everyone," he announced. "Let's have some fun." And fun they had. Pets showed off their quirkiest tricks, owners shared stories of their companions' misadventures, and Bob felt a sense of camaraderie that transcended species and galaxies. As the twin moons of Zorblax rose in the sky, casting a soft glow over the marketplace, Bob realized that he had not only taught the Zorblaxians about training pets, he had learned from them as well. He had learned that true obedience comes not from fear or dominance, but from understanding and respect. The night ended with heartfelt farewells and promises to never forget the lessons learned. Bob looked up at the stars, thinking of home, but knowing a part of him would always remain among the stars of Andromeda. "Listen up," he began, his voice carrying across the silent crowd. "I've taught your pets to obey, but I forgot to teach them something crucial: how to be themselves." He turned to the pets. "No more commands today. Just be." As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, casting a soft glow on the sleeping forms of Zorblaxian pets, Bob stood at the edge of the marketplace, his gaze lost among the stars. Today was the day he would say goodbye to a world that had become more than just a job. It had become a chapter in his life story. The Zorblaxians had planned a grand send-off for the man who had taught them the true essence of companionship. The marketplace was adorned with streamers that fluttered in the gentle breeze, each color representing a different species and their gratitude. Bob walked through the throngs of aliens and their pets, each one stopping to offer a word of thanks or a small token of appreciation. A young Zorblaxian child, her eyes wide with wonder, handed Bob a drawing of him surrounded by a myriad of creatures, each more fantastical than the last. "Thank you, Mr. Bob," she said, her voice a melodic chirp. "You made my squiggles happy again." Bob knelt down, accepting the drawing with a smile. "Squiggles made me happy too, kiddo. Keep that spirit alive, okay?" The child nodded vigorously, her antennae bouncing with each movement. The farewell ceremony was a tapestry of speeches, performances, and a feast that would be talked about for cycles to come. Councilor Zara took the stage, her voice echoing through the crowd. "Bob Smith, you arrived as a stranger from a distant world, but you leave as a friend and a teacher. You've shown us that obedience without spirit is like a star without light, dim and cold. For this lesson, we are forever in your debt." Bob stepped forward, the applause washing over him like a warm tide. "I came here to teach, but I'm the one who's learned the most," he said. "Remember, the bond between a pet and its owner is sacred. It's built on trust, respect, and a little bit of mischief." Laughter rippled through the audience, and Bob felt a lump form in his throat. It was time to leave, but the memories of Zorblax would always remain etched in his heart. As the ship prepared for departure, Bob took one last look at the marketplace, now empty and silent. He thought of the pets and their owners, of the lessons learned and the laughter shared. He thought of home, of Earth, and of the stories he would tell. The engines hummed to life, and the ship lifted off, leaving the world of Zorblax behind. Bob watched as the planet became a speck in the vast canvas of space, a beautiful memory among the stars. And as the ship jumped to hyperspace, Bob realized that he wasn't just taking stories with him, he was leaving a part of himself behind. In the hearts of the Zorblaxians and their pets, in the marketplace where chaos met order, Bob had left a legacy of joy and individuality. Bob smiled, encouraging the behavior. "That's it, Squiggles. Be curious, be playful, be you." One by one, the pets began to move, tentatively at first, then with increasing confidence. Colors returned, tails wagged, and the air filled with the sounds of Zorblaxian pets, rediscovering themselves. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in impossible colors, Bob knew he had found the balance. The pets were obedient, yes, but they were also themselves joyful, chaotic, and free. Zara approached Bob, a smile gracing her lips for the first time in days. "You've done it, Mr. Smith. You've brought life back to our companions." Bob watched the scene before him, a tapestry of life and color. "Just doing my job," he said. But in his heart, he knew it was more than that. It was a lesson in life, in the beauty of being unique.